What are you most proud of in your first term, your first accomplishment, most proud accomplishment of your first term?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm proud of several things that we've done. Probably the most proud of is the work that we've done on the VA committee. I'm a proud member of the VA committee. I've been taking care of patients at a VA hospital for 20 years. Now I got to be on the committee where I've taken my knowledge that I've learned taking care of patients and to be able to reform that bureaucracy that's been mismanaging our veterans for a long time. And we've been able to pass this past year a major reform bill to change the way the VA works. We got a new secretary of the VA that I met and been able to speak with, get his cell phone number, and really I think we have an opportunity to make a major change in the way the VA works and improve the care we get to our veterans. That's probably the thing I'm most proud of in the last term.
Tying off of that, you have an insight into the boots on the ground of VA healthcare that very few people in your current position have. Are you surprised? Were you surprised when all of these, when the backlogs and everything kind of broke? Were you surprised, or were you not as surprised?
Well, we've been working on identifying those problems in our committee. Most of those revelations came through our committee, and then the news picked it up, and it broke nationwide. But we've been working to get awareness of this to the nation for a long time in the committee, and we're happy that, frankly, that the news finally broke the story, and there's enough political pressure to get the president to make a major change in the leadership there, and to get this reform bill done. It's going to be up to us to make sure that the reform bill gets is scrutinized and they have to implement it. But yeah, working at the VA, I can tell you stories about, where they don't have a nurse anesthetist in the OR, but they replace every single window at the hospital that was just replaced 5 years ago. Stuff like that, where they're spending millions of dollars in one silo of spending, and they don't have enough money to get a nurse anesthetist or hire another surgeon. Those are the type of things that I'm aware of. They can't give me a song and dance about it, why they're doing it. When they tell me, when the secretary says to me, "Oh, the VA system is as efficient as anything in the private sector," I can say that's just baloney. I know for a fact that this, and this, and they don't get away with that kind of stuff. Where they might get away with it if they have somebody who's not experienced there.
That's true. Is there anything that you would do over or wish that you had voted differently on?
No, I think I've really paid a lot of attention to the way I've voted. I think there's a lot more that we could do. I wish that the Senate would do some more voting. We've passed a lot of good stuff in the House, bipartisan stuff that hasn't even been voted on in the Senate. And I think that's my biggest frustration there. But when you ask me that question right off the bat, I try to study the stuff pretty closely before I decide how to vote. And I can't think of anything right offhand that, comes to mind. The thing that comes to mind when you say that, how am I going to vote on something, I'm really concerned about what's going to happen with this presence in the Middle East and what's going to happen there, and the president, wondering if we're going to have troops on the ground. That's the big decision for me. How can we stop this terror threat in the Middle East, and yet be sure that our men and women are protected in the armed services?
Well, how do we deal with that? How do we deal with ISIS? How do you balance? I think this is a question that we all ask.
Absolutely, yeah.
How do we balance putting young men and women in harm's way versus what is a growing threat? How do you do that?
Well, I'm not the commander-in-chief, but what I would like to see from the commander-in-chief is a clear plan of what is our plan of action going to be, what is the end point of our plan of action, what is victory going to look like, and before I am willing to vote to put our men and women at risk on the ground there. And I haven't heard that. So, we've got to hear that before I'm even willing to talk about it. I've always believed that we shouldn't have troops on the ground overseas without a declaration of war or approval from Congress at the very least, because I think the American people need to be involved in those decision-making processes going forward.
Is that call for a plan, is that coming from both sides of the aisle?
I think so. I think that Democrats and Republicans both agree that We don't want to be involved in a situation where our men and women are at risk. We've been through that. Haven't we been through that for a long time already? Where we're not sure what the plan is. I wasn't happy when President Bush went overseas without a declaration of war after 9/11. And there we had clear reason to be fighting. But I think that it's good for the Republic to have the Congress be voting on it so that it's clear that the American people and the Congress are behind the president, number one, so he's not second-guessed a year or two later, which we've seen time and time again. And I just think it's bad policy to have the president really to have the power to put our men and women at risk, because they're pretty precious to me.
Big differences between you and your opponent, and you can take this whatever way you want to take it.
Well, I've been taking care of patients for 30 years, okay? And the reason I'm running for Congress, frankly, is that I'm concerned about what's going to happen to our children and grandchildren and the opportunities that they're going to have. I support not spending money we don't have and putting $17 trillion in debt on our children. And I believe that that's an important issue going forward because, as I said, it's about opportunity for our children. And frankly, the Democratic position has been spending money we don't have. I mean, I can understand arguing about how to spend money, all right? I mean, more of this, less that. But to spend money and then put that debt onto our children is not right. And that's the policies of the Democratic Party. I just don't understand it myself. I don't understand how they can visit. I just went to the high school. I went to Traverse City West today, and I'm talking to these high school kids, and I said to them, well, you realize that, they're spending this money. You guys are going to have to pay it back. It's not going to be there for me to pay back. I'll be long gone. Unless we fix this problem, you guys are going to be saddled with all this debt and taxes. You're not going to have the opportunities that I had. And I think that's the major difference is that, the policies that my opponent supports going to put our children in debt.
All right. Where do you stand on campaign finance and campaign finance reform?
Well, I think it's, I'm very proud that people will actually send money to me to help me win an election. I think that's really amazing. What I mean? And I think it should be fair. I'm not sure of any specific things that I can think of that I would like. I think that people should have the opportunity to express their opinions and there's a certain amount of freedom of speech issues. I agree with the fact that people should only be able to give you a limited amount of money so that no one person has undue influence on you. I agree with that. But I'm not sure of a policy that limits free speech is a good thing.
Headed back, if reelected, what's the top priority?
I think jobs in the economy is a top priority for me in Northern Michigan. I mean, I want children to be able to find a job here in Northern Michigan, a good paying, house buying, truck buying job. And that's what's been lacking in our economy is that people at this point in time are just happy to have a job. They haven't been getting raises. Net household income over the past 5 years has fallen. We need to get an economy in position that will be growing and allow our children and grandchildren to have opportunity to live and work in Northern Michigan. Now, one of the things that we have been working on in our office in particular is vocational education. And, I've talked to business owners and they're looking for people with skills, and there's jobs available, good paying jobs for people with the right skills, but our students haven't been exposed to it. We've lost a lot of vocational education opportunities in our school systems over the years because of federal rules with the curriculum. So we, in our office, have been working with school districts, with manufacturers, with community colleges, with intermediate school districts to try to coordinate what skills are needed in the local economy that will lead to a good paying job, and how can we help promote that training facility. We've helped people find grants. We've helped industry work with the schools to get the kids to come to the industry to see it. We work with the credit unions. The credit unions have taken us on as a project to educate kids that there are jobs out there for vocations. So getting those people to talk, manufacturers, community colleges, students, to see what jobs there are and to promote vocational education in the district has been a real pleasure, and it leads to jobs here.
It does, yeah. And the neat thing I think about it is these are young people who don't have to look to Grand Rapids, Detroit, Chicago for their jobs. They can not only stay at home, they can get their training here, and then they can get those good paying jobs. I'm always baffled when we do these stories about we don't have enough welders, we don't have enough press operators, we don't have enough,
Right.
It's like these kids that may be a little unsure of where they want to go in high school. There's a really great path. There's Moran Iron Works. There's these places that
Right.
are just desperate.
And then they can get a job, and they can get further education after that. I mean, to me, that needs to be shown to the kids and the parents to see that these jobs at Moran Iron Works, these aren't dirty jobs. These are good paying jobs that require a skill. But there's opportunity there. There's opportunity for advancement, and there's good pay associated with it. So, that's one thing that we can get done in the Congress that we have that can lead to more jobs in northern Michigan.
So we've got jobs. That's the top priority of improving the economy and the whole trickle down and everything like that. What else?
Healthcare. I mean, I'm a doctor. I've been taking care of patients. I believe that the president's healthcare plan is bad medicine for America. The president's healthcare bill has benefited some people, okay? But most of the people that I talk to, frankly, are opposed to it. I mean, most people in business, it's increasing costs. Most of the county people, they're cutting back hours in order to be able to afford their budgets, because if somebody works more than 30 hours, they got to provide for health care. And before, they had maybe a 35-hour-a-week part-time person. They didn't have to do that. Now they're cutting those people down to 29 hours. I mean, I had the administrator in Chippewa County tell me he was crying. He had to cut back hours on several single mothers that were sheriff deputies because he didn't have it in his budget to provide for their health care. Well, that's just unintended consequence of maybe a well-intentioned law, but this is the problem. We need to, in America, we need to have a patient-centered health care that actually lowers costs. I mean, we have good health care in America. The problem is it's too expensive. And the president's health care bill hasn't made it less expensive. It's made it more expensive with higher insurance premiums and higher deductibles. And frankly, it also cuts back on reimbursement to our local hospitals. The president's health care plan is largely paid for by cutting Medicare reimbursement to hospitals so that our Medicare patients, the hospitals that are taking care of them, get paid less for the same thing. And believe me, I was on the board of a hospital. I've been to almost every single hospital in my district, and there's nobody happy with the reimbursement rates, and they're wondering how they're going to stay open. I mean, they're laying people off, they're cutting back on services. A lot of the hospitals, with the increasing cuts over the next few years, they're not sure they can maintain their bottom line and remain open. And I want people to have access to care. I mean, this district is pretty big. There's a long way between hospitals. I want people to have access to care.
Well, and my wife works at Munson, and so she's right in the middle of it all, and she's in their planning department, so she helps determine who needs a new CAT scan machine and everything like that. It's really hard for them to stay cutting edge, stay up with the latest technology when they're worried about maintaining it.
I think Grand Traverse County is facing like $200 million in cuts over the next 10 years. That's $20 million a year. A majority of that maybe is from Munson. And that's a lot of cuts to be taken care into your budget and still trying to provide the quality care.
In terms of where America is as a whole, what's your biggest concern? When you look 10 years down the road, what's something that you say, we need to tackle this now? Other than if it's healthcare, it's healthcare. But other than that, where do you, as a bigger picture thing,
I think the big picture for America is making sure that we allow the American people to be the individuals that they are and not have the government dictating every aspect of our lives. I believe in the American dream. I believe that a young person without a lot of money, but with some hard work and with some smarts, can make it in America and achieve the American dream. I believe I have a piece of the American dream. I want my grandchildren and children to have the base of the American dream. And to tell you the truth, I have hope for America. I think that America is more than this leadership that we have in America now. I think that America is going to come back stronger and better than it ever will, because I believe in American citizens. I believe in all the people that I've been talking to on the road that know that America is more than the leadership that we have now. I think we need better leadership. I think we have a long way to go, and I think we can do it here in America.
All right, well, let's talk about that leadership. Who do you want to be the next Republican candidate?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm a doctor from the UP. I'm not a political pundit or a scorekeeper and all that. I haven't met that many of the candidates, to tell you the truth, so I would like to refrain from making a guess as to who it is, because I frankly don't know. I think there might be somebody yet to emerge. To tell you the truth, I like governors, because governors have experience in managing a large situation. So I guess my preference would be somebody that comes from a gubernatorial office, because if they've shown to be successful in their state and in managing a complex operation, then we can have some hope that they will be successful in managing a larger economy. So that's where my thoughts are.
Do you think it's going to be an interesting campaign on both sides to watch?
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be unbelievable. Well, I'm concentrating on my race. I don't know. I'm hopeful we can find some leadership that is able to articulate what their plan is. I think we need to articulate a plan to the American people that shows hope and that is effective. I think that one of my big concerns, of course, is the debt in our children, and I want them to have opportunity. So someone that can articulate to me their plan to deal with that issue and get this economy moving, I think I would be willing to support.
Do you think how important is it in our next presidential candidate, whoever this person will be, has that long-term approach, instead of saying my policy, I'm the ISIS candidate, or I'm the Obamacare candidate. Instead, has this bigger picture of that 10-year down the road plan. Would you be more excited to vote for that candidate than one of these microwave, right now topic kind of candidates?
Yeah, of course. I hope we can find someone that can articulate that vision. Like I say, I have hope for America. I wouldn't be doing this job. I've taken a portion of my life to try to serve and promote policies that will benefit the next generation. That's the only reason I'm doing this. I could easily be, fishing in the UP or get bird hunting, but I think that people should step up and serve, and I'm happy to do it for a while. And I'm hoping we can find a candidate that will articulate a vision of America that needs individual responsibility and hope for the young.
Have you enjoyed your time in Washington?
It is truly a privilege to serve in Congress. When I walk through the Capitol, sometimes, and I'm on those marble floors and those columns and those statues of Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt, and I'm there, and I just go, I never thought I would ever do that, so it's been truly a privilege and honor to do that. When I speak on the floor of the House, sometimes I just kind of break up, because I just can't imagine that really I'm doing this, and I get really passionate oftentimes, especially on the veteran issues. And it's just been a privilege for me to do it. Some of the best things about being in Congress really has been helping one person at a time. You work on these pieces of legislation that are helpful, like the Sleeping Bear Dunes bill. We got that done. But sometimes when you help a single veteran deal with an issue that he's been dealing with for a long time, and he couldn't ever get it solved because of some bureaucratic baloney, and you fix that for him, and he's happy, that just feels so good. It's like almost taking care of a patient again. You know what I mean? When you have a patient and you solve their problem for them, and and they have and they're happy, and you just feel so good about it. So that's probably my favorite part about being in Congress.
I wonder when it's all said and done, and you're back to where you get to fish every day you want in UP, and you look back. I wonder if those are if when somebody asks you that question, if those are going to be the moments that you remember the most.
Oh, I think because I remember the person. I remember the actual individual. Like this guy in Escanaba had trouble with his legs, with weakness in his legs, and he couldn't get a hand-driven assembly for his car, so he could drive his car with his hands, his brakes and that. He'd been working for like 12 years to get that paid for from the VA, and not me, but one of my office person who worked on that issue for him for several months, but got it to him. And then she was so happy, my staff person, and then I was so happy that we were able to get it, and he was happy. It was just like, I'll never forget that guy. And those are the personal thank yous that really mean a lot to me.
Do you enjoy campaigning?
I enjoy being out there meeting people. I mean, that's one of the best parts of the job is getting input from people. I mean, I had lunch today at the senior center here in Traverse City. Just talk to them, people, what they have on their mind. I talk to veterans. I go to a VFW, and what are you going? I get a lot of ideas from people. Some of the legislation I sponsored came from ideas I got from hearing from people. So that's really fun. Maybe the every day of it, that maybe is a little bit much. But we are out on the road meeting people almost every single day, and I've been, from one end of the UP to the other, and it's half the state. So I go all over trying to talk to as many people as I can, frankly, to get input. And that all helps me decide how to do things, and I really do appreciate it.
When you go back to Washington and you talk to your peers who have districts that are this small, they can walk the district almost. Are they baffled by how big your district is?
Everybody there's unique. There's 435 districts, and they're all different, and the people in Congress reflect their district, and ours is certainly challenging at times to get around, but it's fun too. We drove down, my wife and I drove down from Marquette. We're in our motorhome. We have a motorhome that I've had for years, but we made it a campaign bus. So we drove down from Marquette to Traverse on Sunday, and it was a beautiful sunny day. The colors, it was gorgeous traveling across the district. So that wasn't so bad. We enjoyed it, and you don't get to do that. Very often. You don't get to do that kind of travel. So as part of my job, I get to travel and see beautiful northern Michigan. It's all right.
Yeah, that's true. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I would say that if there are people out there that need help with a congressional issue, or a veteran out there that needs help, we want to hear about it, because my office wants to help individuals, and please contact our office. We would be happy to help you out.